Hello, Kathy. Let me test my speakers. Let's see. Test. I thought I had it. Mercy. The first part of this, I didn't record. Mercy, mercy, mercy. So I was talking about safety, realtor safety. It is so important to be safe when you're, okay, I have another message. Okay. It's so important to be safe. I have a story in which I received a call. I was in the office, excited to go out and show property because I wanted to make a sale so I could have some income. So I went out to show this property to a man that I did not get his name. I got his name because I knew who I was going to meet, but I did not get his phone number, did not get his email address. I didn't get any of that contact information. So I put myself at risk. And then I ended up going out to show a property in a rural area. It was actually, I believe, Tenino. For us, that's kind of rural. It's a rural area in Tenino that I showed it, and it was down a dirt road. So everything within me was screaming, turn around, turn around, turn around. But then my heart was like, you got to get this sale. You got to get this sale. So, all these different voices, trust your instinct. If the hairs are standing up on the back of your head and you don't feel right, you get that gut check, don't do it. It's not worth your life. I'm still here, so I didn't lose my life. However, the whole process of being eager to show someone a property, I went to the house. He pulled up after I unlocked the door. We have these lock boxes. They were the older kind that had these keys that I opened the house. I went inside and he started coming up the stairs. I came to the door and I shook his hand and I turned around and almost like the hairs just like literally stood up on the back of my neck. So I turned back around and I started to show the house. Didn't know how to show a house either. Show the house, went toward the back of the house. This was a small house. Went to the back of the house and I felt like I was trapped. I literally felt trapped. So I was praying for a way of escape because I don't know what intentions this man had. I don't know if he was really interested in the home, but it didn't appear that he was. So somehow I got him into that room and I found myself positioned where I could get in the hallway. I found myself in the hallway and I started doing the back step as I was talking. And, I still had this sense of excitement because, I thought I was going to get a sale. In my mind, I was thinking, just get out of here. Your life's more important. So long story short, I get back to the door. He comes out. I lock the door kind of half facing him, half facing the door, right? Because I didn't want to let him out of my sight. And then I pretended I had a phone call because there was a lot of silence going on. I pretended I had a phone call and I took that phone call. I said, oh, I got to go. And then I jumped in the car and I left. I left him there on the property because I just had this feeling something was wrong. So realtor safety is important. If I had told someone where I was going, if I had written down all of his information and given it to someone and maybe even tested the number before I left saying I'm on my way, give it to someone, that's what I would recommend you do in those situations where you're just perusing prospects, people on the phone that you're calling, you don't know who they are, you don't know what their intentions are. You're in this business for sales. You're also in this business for relationships. And if the person's not willing to sign an agreement, then maybe they're not worth your time. I know that was a long story for that, but I just thought that was so important to share with you. And since I missed the very beginning of the recording for the Zoom, I'm just going to recap that ABCs begin with the name, the email address, and the phone number. The ABCs are the foundation for your business. That is how you are going to build your real estate business and your career. You are your first client. You can buy your own home with your license. You can buy investment property with your license. Or if you're not licensed, you can buy investment property. There's a way into real estate, whether you're licensed or not. But it's important to understand some of the pitfalls of getting licensed in real estate because there are many. And having a mentor, someone to help you navigate along the way, is paramount in your success. I wish I had a mentor in the beginning. I was so excited. I just wanted to do it. But when I look back at some of the mistakes I made and how I put my life in jeopardy because I wanted to get a sale, it's not that important. It's not that important to lose your life over sale. It's not that important to lose your reputation because you're not paying attention to the laws. The buyer agency agreement is there for a reason. It says what your duties are, what the other broker's duties are, and you don't interfere with each other. Now, if you're a realtor, you have another sort of thing to uphold to, and it's called the code of conduct. So if you're a real estate agent and you're not a realtor, you don't ascribe to the code of conduct. I call it the code of conduct. It's well, in the military, that's what we called it, the code of conduct. But it's the code, realtor code of ethics. That's what it is. We call it code of conduct. Code of ethics. So within the code of ethics, it's laid out on the standards of practice, on the do's and don'ts. Mostly it's the don'ts. I don't think there's any. The do is at the beginning. There's a preamble, how we aspire, all the kind of like the preamble to the Constitution, you know. It's very aspiring, but then when you get to the standards, it says, you will not. So you will not interfere with another buyer agency. You will not. I mean, there's a lot of those will nots. It's not stated that way, but if you want to look online to the National Association of Realtors and look at the Realtor Code of Ethics, that tells you what your responsibilities are. And I take those to heart. I actually take that a step higher. I mean, my moral ground tells me, once I know, but you don't know what you don't know. So you can make a lot of rookie mistakes by not knowing the law, by not knowing contracts. Contracts is a whole nother story. I can give another rookie mistake on contracts. Now, when you're writing contracts, if a buyer wants a home inspection, you put that in there and there's so many days. Now, my first rookie mistake in a contract had to do with that, a home inspection. The home inspection period is for X number of days. If you pass the X number of days, in this case, we'll just say 7, you pass 7 days, your buyer has no right of recourse for requesting the seller to make any repairs. In fact, your buyer has accepted the property in the condition that it's in. That was my first rookie mistake on a contract. And it was devastating because I had to turn around and tell my client, I messed up. I did not realize that these dates were absolute. Well, I would have known that if I would have had someone coaching me and mentoring me along the way. But the only time my coach and mentor, which was my managing broker, stood up was when I made a mistake. Kind of too late for that. It's best to know in advance. That's why I'm saying I could give you a whole page of mistakes, but my whole point is it's important to have someone that you bring your information to before you present it to a client. So I have a new broker in my office and he sends me everything. So if he is writing a contract, he sends me the draft. So I look at the draft and make sure everything's covered. because you don't want to make a mistake. Now, I'll tell you in this case of a new broker, he actually wrote a contract, it closed. Okay. You think that's the end when it's closed? It's not over because any issues that the client has are ongoing throughout their ownership of the property. So it could be good, it could be positive, or it could be bad, negative. In this case, he just closed on a property. Everything went well, except for when the buyer wanted to move in. He sends me a screenshot of a picture where the buyer is parking in the garage with the front end of the car up against the wall, and the back end of the car can't fit in the garage. How do you fix that? How do you fix that? He asked me, well, can we give the house back? No. The buyer had an opportunity. The buyer had an inspection. And at that time, the buyer didn't say, oh, the garage isn't big enough. I mean, what are they going to do? Rebuild the house? Extend the garage out? So he's asking me, how are we going to solve that problem? I said, well, the buyer can, with your assistance, go back to the builder and see what compensation the builder can do for remodel or reversion. I don't know because I don't really know how it's a condo, so it could affect other properties. I don't know. Or if he has a extended vehicle that maybe it just doesn't fit. I don't know. So that's one option. Or he could decide, okay, this house won't fit my car or my SUV, so now I'm going to sell it. So we're still working through that. But in real estate, there's always something new. There is always something new. Our contracts change frequently. Our laws change frequently. In fact, the seller disclosure is something that our legislators vote on. Now, our realtors, our advocate for property rights, they actually lobby with our legislators to ensure certain things go into our disclosure. And they also lobby for a reduction of business and occupation tax. So we pay B&O tax on every sale we have. So that goes to the state. And our realtors have lobbied to keep that down. Each year, almost every year, there's talk of increasing that, just like our property taxes, just like excise tax. There's talk about that. So realtors do a lot for our community. They do a lot for housing rights, both locally, state, and national. And so I hope you enjoyed my stories. The whole point of that is just to let you know that it's important to have a mentor. A mentor is someone who, if you're in the office and you have a managing broker, that managing broker should mentor you. It's important to have some training. Within those first 2 years, they're responsible. Now, responsible could mean, like just in the case that I was in, responsible could just mean that they are going to look at things when they go bad, when there's a mistake. But in my mind, mentorship is preventive maintenance, preventive problems, looking at things from a full scope and see, okay, what could happen if? Because it's the what ifs that get you tripped up when you're in this industry. Okay. And so since part of my why got cut off at the beginning, I just want to say the reason, again, I started this is because I wanted to share my experiences, not just for sharing it, but just to say you don't have to make the same mistakes. You don't have to make the same mistakes. And things have evolved so much in this industry that I would be scared not to have someone navigate me through the process. I personally would be scared. I have a master's degree in health administration and a bachelor's in communicative disorders and science. I served my country for 10 years, but I would be scared. I would be scared to not have someone to bounce things off of, to help me build my business, to show me the ropes, so to speak. Even when you're in a training and when you're in a sporting event, you have a coach, you have a mentor. So that's important to have someone to share with you experiences maybe that they've had doing things a certain way, or experiences that would lead to a positive outcome. Okay, because that's what you want. You want a positive outcome. So I'm looking forward to each and every one of you growing your business. And what I'd like you to do for me is to share in the Facebook group. Okay, so it's a public group, but you can't join it. I can actually change it to private if that would make you feel better. But it's a public group that you have to be admitted in. So I'd have to admit you in, and I have certain contingencies for that. But what I would like you to do is to show your face, do a Facebook Live in this group. Some of you may do lives on your own personal page, but I want you to do a live on this Facebook group and share your biggest takeaway from today's lesson. Okay? Simple. Introduce yourself in the process. Hello, my name is. Share a little bit about yourself and what your biggest takeaway. So that's your homework for today. Now, tonight at 6 p.m., if you're interested, I'll put a link in I'll put an event. Now, that event is going to cost $18, but there's an event that actually has a hands-on application training where I actually teach you how to prospect, because we kind of talked in a roundabout way what prospecting is, getting your first client, the ABCs, name, phone number, and an email address, or name, email address, and phone number. But how do you prospect? Some people have been in a business for years that don't know how to prospect. Okay? Don't know how to prospect. So I think it's important that you know how to prospect. So if you're interested in that lab tonight, that is at 6 p.m., the prospecting lab. And so today's training was basically just to share my why and find out your why you're here. So I don't know, Diamond, are you able to put it in the chat what your why is? I know Miss Kimmy spoke, and then I realized that I didn't have it recorded. So are you able to put in the chat your why? And while you're doing that, I just want to thank you for being here for today's day one of the 3-day Rookie Realtor Intensive. I'll share a little bit more before I read Diamonds. Oh, there, I just saw yes. Okay. I just would like to know your why. So you can go ahead and save that for the Facebook group, but I'll send an event link. So for those who are interested, that event link will be for tonight at 6 p.m. And again, I said it's $18. That'll be for all 3 days. So it'll be 3 days of lab and then 3 days of training. So today's training was all about the why. Why real estate, why I got started, why I'm giving back. Again, this part is free. Understanding the law of agency is important. Getting that contract distinguishes the customer from the client. And ultimately, we want to work with clients. We start with customers, but we want to work with clients. Contracts are important. Having a buyer agency agreement for working with buyers. And when you work with sellers, you have a listing agreement. Your safety is important. It's great to go out there and prospect for business, but actually do you want me to save it for yeah, you could save it for the Facebook group, Miss Diamond. If you could do that, that would be awesome. So getting your first client, ABCs, 1, 2, 3. It is very simple, but it's also very complicated. It's simple yet complicated because there's so many moving parts, but it's exciting, it's fun, it's refreshing. I'm so glad that we are here to learn about the whys of real estate. And let's see, I'll do one more example about cultivating business. When you cultivate business, you want to know what the person's need is before you turn them into a client. Now, I have a lot of past clients, so when I look at starting a relationship with someone, because my business is building real relationships through real estate, I find out the why behind the need. So if they call, for example, received one this morning from a gentleman who happened to purchase a property that I used to own, and he says he wants to sell, but I don't personally know him. So my call to him, and I have an appointment this afternoon, my call to him would be, why do you want to sell? What's your motivation? So determining the motivation is basically your one. So I said ABC 123. So name, phone number, and email address. And now that you're talking to this lead, you want to know their why or their motivation. What's the reason for your selling, right? And then number two, once you know the why, you want to see if you're able to meet that need, right? Are you experienced? Are you able? You know, there's a lot of reasons behind your ability to work with a client. Maybe they're out of area, maybe they're actually their property is in another state. So maybe you're not able to meet that need exactly, but you can refer that business to another broker in another state. That's also a way of receiving compensation by referral. So you find out their motivation. What's the reason? Two, you find out if you can meet that need. And then three, you execute a contract. You're either executing a contract for that listing or you're executing a contract for a buyer agency agreement. Now, you don't jump from a conversation to a contract. Like I said, there's a lot of parts in between, which we are going to talk about at the lab tonight. So I just want to thank you for joining the 3-day Rookie Realtor Intensive. And so it's intense because it's real estate and it's a lot of moving parts, a lot to learn, but it's the best business I believe that you can get into if you want to grow your wealth, if you want to scale your knowledge, if you want to be successful in your own right, in your own business. And this is the business to join. On me? Okay. I'm still reading a post. Okay. Awesome. So I want to again thank you for joining. We have a couple of minutes left. I don't know if you're in a position to just give a short why, Diamond, why you're here, or you can save it for the Facebook group. Either way is fine. So I told you about the ABC 123, name, phone number, email address, and I just look forward to seeing you in tonight's lab. And I'll send that link right after this and share this recording, which I missed the first 20 minutes of it, unfortunately. Don't know how I can recoup that, but maybe I'll just do a short synopsis of what we covered during the first 20 minutes. So thank you for joining, and I will see you tonight. If you're coming tonight, have a good day.